ever feel like there's this awesome version of you just kind of waiting in the wings, like ready to burst out?
Uh-huh. I know that feeling.
Well, today we're diving deep into this idea
Okay.
that maybe it's our own subconscious mind that's holding us back
Oh, interesting.
from truly living our best life.
Yeah, it's like having this blueprint running in the background,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't even realize it's there, shaping our reality.
It's kind of wild when you think about it.
Totally. It's like this internal operating system,
Right.
built from all those childhood experiences.
Interesting.
And it can either, like, supercharge our adult lives
Right.
or throw some serious roadblocks in the way.
So you're saying it's not enough to just think positive thoughts.
Right.
We've got to uncover and rewire those beliefs that are
Absolutely.
deep down maybe even sabotaging us.
Totally. The source material goes into some fascinating examples of how this subconscious sabotage actually plays out in our lives.
I'm all ears.
It's like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake at the same time.
Oof. Yeah, I can see that.
They're trying to move forward, but something's holding you back.
One example that I thought was so interesting was this idea
Yeah.
that we might unconsciously choose partners
Oh, yeah.
who remind us of a parent.
Yes. The book describes how someone might repeatedly end up
Wow.
with partners who mirror, let's say, the not-so-great qualities
Right.
of, like, a low-down cheating father, for instance.
Oh, well.
It's as if your subconscious is trying to, like,
Right.
recreate those familiar patterns,
Oh.
even if they cause pain.
So wait, are you telling me I could be dating a version of my mother-in-law?
Huh. Well, maybe not literally,
Okay, good.
but you get the idea.
Yeah, that's both terrifying and fascinating at the same time.
Right. But seriously, think about it.
Okay.
How many of our struggles could actually be traced back
Yeah.
to these subconscious beliefs that we don't even realize are there?
It's mind-blowing, honestly. It's like
Right.
we're creating these self-fulfilling prophecies
Exactly.
based on fears we're not even aware of.
It's like a self-protection mechanism, but gone wrong.
Oh, interesting.
Like it's trying to keep us safe,
Uh-huh.
but it ends up keeping us small.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting to me.
Okay, I'm ready.
The source material talks about the ego,
All right.
but not in the typical way.
Right. Not the look at me way.
Exactly. They call it the big snooze,
Yes.
which I love.
Such a brilliant way to put it.
It is, right.
Yeah, think of the big snooze as that part of us.
Yeah, okay.
That's basically asleep to our true potential.
Mm.
It operates out of fear, limiting beliefs,
Right.
and this constant need for validation from others.
So it's that voice in our head that's like, you're not enough, or
Exactly.
what will people think?
Exactly. It's this inner critic, constantly whispering doubts and fears,
Uh-huh.
and it prevents us from really stepping into our power.
And then the book contrasts that with our true self,
Yeah.
which is present, loving, and connected to this limitless potential.
Absolutely.
It's like we all have this badass version of ourselves just waiting to be unleashed.
I love that.
But the big snooze is keeping it locked away.
That's a great way to put it.
So how do we unlock that inner badass?
Well, the key is to start by recognizing those limiting beliefs.
Okay.
And then consciously choosing
Right.
to embrace a new way of thinking, a new way of being.
It's like waking up from the big snooze, right?
Exactly. It's about stepping into your power.
So for our listeners, what does all of this really mean for them?
It means you have way more power than you realize.
I like that.
Your subconscious might be holding you back,
Right.
but you also have the power to reprogram it.
So where do we even begin?
The first step, according to the source material,
Yeah.
is to cultivate self-love.
Self-love, okay.
And I don't mean in a narcissistic, ego-stroking way,
Right.
but in a genuine appreciation for your uniqueness and your worth.
I love that.
Because so often, we are our own worst critics, right?
Absolutely.
And the source material actually offers some really practical steps
Okay.
for cultivating self-love.
I'm interested.
And they're surprisingly simple and actionable.
Let's hear it.
One of the simplest but most powerful techniques is using affirmations.
Affirmations. Okay.
I know. It might sound a little cheesy,
Yeah.
but consistently repeating positive statements about yourself
Okay.
can actually rewire your thinking.
Wow. So it's like giving your brain a pep talk.
Exactly. Instead of focusing on the I can'ts and the I'm nots, you start feeding it a steady stream of I cans and I ams.
I like that.
The book gives some great examples like I deserve love
Yeah.
or I am brilliant.
So it's about replacing those old tapes with new ones.
Exactly. Upgrading your internal software.
Uh-huh. I love that analogy.
From that clunky old version to the latest, most awesome release.
Nice. The source material also talks about the importance of making time for things that bring you joy.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds so obvious, right?
It does.
But honestly, how often do we actually put ourselves and our happiness first?
It's so easy to get caught up in that daily grind.
It is.
And forget to nurture our souls, you know?
Totally.
The source really emphasizes making time for activities that bring you joy.
Yeah.
Whether it's being in nature, being creative, or connecting with loved ones.
Absolutely. And of course,
Yeah.
we can't forget about self-care.
So important.
And I'm not just talking about bubble baths and face masks.
Right. Those are nice too.
They are.
But it's about treating yourself with kindness and respect.
Yeah.
The same way you'd treat the most awesome person you know.
Exactly.
Recognizing your worthiness.
Yes.
And making choices that support your well-being, physically and emotionally.
Okay, so we've talked about the subconscious,
Right.
the big snooze, and the power of self-love.
Uh-huh.
But there's another essential piece
Okay.
to rewiring our thinking for success.
What's that?
And that is the power of the present moment.
Ah, yes. The source material dives deep into that.
How does?
It explains that by being fully present, right here, right now,
Yeah.
we tap into this greater awareness, this deeper connection.
It's like stepping out of the mental chatter
Exact.
and into a state of just being.
That's where the magic happens.
And that's where we unlock the badass, right?
Exactly. It's like you can finally hear the whispers of your soul
I love that.
and the guidance of the universe.
Okay, so how do we actually become more present?
Especially in this crazy, fast-paced world.
Right.
The source highlights a few different practices,
Okay.
but one of the most powerful and most accessible is meditation.
Meditation. Okay. You know, I used to think meditation was just for
Yeah.
like monks on mountaintops,
Right.
but this book makes it feel a lot more,
More doable.
doable, yeah, for regular people like us.
I agree. The author breaks it down into really clear, simple steps, even for total beginners.
Which is great because some of those meditation poses I've seen, yikes,
Oh, I know, right?
not exactly beginner friendly.
Exactly. That's why the source emphasizes finding a comfortable posture,
Okay.
focusing on your breath,
Right.
and just gently acknowledging any thoughts that pop up
Right.
without judgment.
So it's not about forcing your mind to be blank,
Not at all. It's more about becoming an observer of your thoughts.
like decluttering your mental closet.
Uh-huh. Exactly. Keeping the good stuff
Right.
and tossing out the things that don't fit anymore.
I love that analogy.
And the more you practice, the better you get at accessing that peaceful, present state.
So it becomes more natural.
Exactly. Not just during meditation, but throughout your day.
So it's like you're building this mental muscle.
Exactly. A muscle for calmness and clarity.
I like that.
And speaking of powerful mental tools,
Yeah.
the source material also gets into visualization and manifestation.
Ooh. Okay, now this is where things get a bit woo-woo, right?
Aha, maybe a little.
I've always been curious about this stuff,
Yeah.
but it could feel kind of overwhelming.
I get it. But the book actually presents a very grounded and practical approach
Okay.
to visualization. It explains that our thoughts have energy,
Okay.
and when we focus our attention on what we want, we can actually start to attract those things into our reality.
Hold on. Are you saying that just by thinking about something, we can make it happen?
Well, it's not magic, but it's about consciously directing our energy towards our goals. The source emphasizes feeling the emotions associated with those desires
Right.
as if they've already happened.
So it's like creating a mental movie of our ideal life
That's a great way to put it.
and inviting the universe to help us make it real.
Exactly. And the source even suggests creating a vision board
Oh, yeah.
with images and affirmations that represent your goals.
Okay.
And then spend time each day visualizing yourself living in that reality.
So it's like intentional daydreaming.
Exactly. Daydreaming with a purpose.
I can get behind that.
And it's important to remember that visualization isn't about trying to control every little detail, you know?
Right.
It's about setting an intention
Okay.
and trusting the universe to guide you towards your goals in its own way.
So it's like setting the GPS, but allowing for some detours
I love that.
and scenic routes along the way.
Yes. And speaking of aligning with the universe,
Yeah.
the source material also talks about gratitude.
Gratitude. Isn't that just about like being thankful for what we have?
It's more than that. The source explains that gratitude
Yeah.
actually raises our vibration, makes us more magnetic to
Interesting.
the things we want to attract into our lives.
So gratitude is like a superpower.
It is. And the book offers some really cool exercises
Okay.
for cultivating gratitude,
I'd love to hear about one.
even in challenging situations.
Because, let's be real, life throws us curveballs sometimes.
It does. That's where the "this is good because" exercise comes in.
This is good because...
Okay. It encourages you to find the silver lining in any situation.
Even the tough ones.
Exactly. No matter how difficult it might seem.
Wow. So it's like training our minds to see the good,
Exactly.
even when things are hard.
And remember, gratitude isn't about ignoring the negative.
Right.
It's about choosing to focus on the positive.
Shifting our perspective.
Yes. Finding something to appreciate,
Yeah.
even amidst the challenges.
It's like rewiring our brains for happiness.
Yes.
And abundance.
Absolutely.
Of focusing on what's already good in our lives.
That's the key.
Okay, so we've got self-love, meditation, visualization, gratitude.
Right?
But there's still one major obstacle
What's that?
that can prevent us from unlocking our inner badass,
Okay.
and that is fear.
Ugh, fear. That sneaky little gremlin,
I know, right?
always trying to hold us back.
It's the worst.
And the source material doesn't sugarcoat it. Fear is a real obstacle
That is.
on the path to living a truly fulfilling life.
So how do we deal with it? Do we ignore it? Fight it?
The source offers a different approach. It encourages us to understand fear, to get curious about it, and to really challenge the stories we tell ourselves about it.
Because sometimes those stories aren't even true.
Exactly. Often our fears are based on assumptions and limiting beliefs.
That we've just been carrying around.
For years. So the book encourages us to ask,
Yeah.
is this fear based on facts or just a story I'm telling myself?
Right.
What's the worst that could happen? And what if this fear is actually a sign I'm on the right track?
Interesting.
Like pushing past my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Moving towards something amazing.
So fear could be a guidepost,
Exactly.
a sign that we're growing.
It's a natural part of being human.
Right.
It's not about eliminating fear completely. It's about learning to dance with it, you know? Acknowledge its presence, but not let it control us.
So fear might always be there in the background,
Right.
but we get to choose whether we lead the dance or let it lead us.
I love that analogy.
And the source material gives some great tips for managing fear,
Yeah, like what?
like focusing on what we can control,
Oh, that's good.
breaking down big goals into smaller steps,
Love that.
and taking action even when we feel afraid.
The antidote to fear is action.
Exactly.
The more we face our fears, the less power they have.
It's like we're building up our courage muscles.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've tackled fear.
We have.
But as we continue this journey of unlocking our inner badass,
Yes.
there are a few more powerful concepts the source material explores.
Oh, like what?
The art of forgiveness,
Okay.
the transformative power of making decisions,
I'm intrigued.
and the often misunderstood concept of surrender.
Surrender. That's an interesting one.
It is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, surrender doesn't exactly scream inner badass.
Uh-huh. I know what you mean.
It sounds a bit passive, like giving up.
Right, right.
So how does that fit into this whole theme?
That's a great question and one that we'll definitely dive into after the break. So before we went to break, we were talking about surrender.
We were. And I'm still a little confused about
I get it.
how it fits into this whole inner badass thing.
Totally. It does seem kind of counterintuitive.
It does.
But the source material actually frames surrender as like
Yeah.
a really powerful way to empower yourself.
Okay, I'm listening.
So think about it this way.
Okay.
Holding on to resentment, anger, those kinds of negative emotions,
Yeah.
it's like you're drinking poison,
Oh.
but expecting the other person to die.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful image.
It keeps us stuck in this cycle of negativity, you know? And it prevents us from moving on, from growing.
So forgiveness is really about us then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not about being nice to the person who wronged us.
Right.
It's about freeing ourselves from that burden.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But forgiving someone who's really hurt us, it can feel impossible.
Oh, absolutely.
Where do you even begin?
The book offers some great techniques.
okay.
One that really resonated with me. Yeah.
Is this idea of shifting your perspective.
Okay, how do you do that?
So instead of seeing the person who hurt you as a villain,
Right, like the bad guy.
Try to see them as a human being who is also struggling.
Oh, okay.
Someone who might be acting out of their own pain or their own fear.
So it's about having compassion, even for the people
Yes,
who've hurt us.
exactly.
That's a tough one, but I can see how it would be freeing.
It is.
Mm.
And remember, forgiveness, it's a journey, not a destination. It might take time,
Right.
and that's totally okay.
So it's not about forgetting or condoning what happened.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging the pain, letting yourself feel it,
Yeah.
and then choosing to release it.
So you can move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like you're clearing out all those emotional cobwebs,
Oh, I like that analogy.
making space for some positive energy to flow in.
Okay, so we've talked about forgiveness,
Right.
which surprisingly
Oh,
is a very inner badass move.
it is.
But the source material also emphasizes,
This idea of making clear, unwavering decisions.
they call it the almighty decision.
I love that. It sounds so powerful, so decisive.
It is. And the source material uses the story of Henry Ford and his pursuit of the V8 engine as a great example.
Oh, that's a good one. He basically told his engineers,
Yeah.
figure it out, even when they said it was impossible.
Right. And guess what?
They did.
They did. Because of Ford's unwavering decision.
So it's about that total commitment that this is happening energy.
Exactly. And that conviction is what fuels the action.
So no more waffling, no more second guessing.
The source material encourages us to eliminate all that negotiation in our minds.
Okay.
Stop second guessing and just commit to our goals.
What?
As if they're already a done deal.
Like, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, no more excuses.
Exactly. And the source material reminds us.
Yeah.
Making decisions, it's a skill,
It is.
one that we can develop with practice.
How do we do that?
Well, it's about becoming aware of how we make decisions, first of all. Do you lean on careful analysis, intuition, or a bit of both?
Interesting.
And then it's about trusting ourselves.
So if you make a so-called wrong decision,
Even then,
you can learn from it.
exactly, and course correct.
So no more analysis paralysis.
Right, just make the decision, trust that it's right for you in this moment.
That's great advice.
And for those of us who struggle with indecision,
Oh yeah, that's me.
the source material gives a great tip.
Okay, what's that?
Set deadlines,
Well, that's good.
give yourself a time frame for making a decision,
Okay.
and stick to it.
It's like lighting a fire under our own butts.
Exactly.
But let's go back to surrender for a minute.
Okay.
Because we were talking about forgiveness.
Right.
And making decisions.
Uh-huh.
And now surrender. How are these all connected?
Well, think about it this way. When we forgive,
Yeah.
we're letting go of the past, right?
Right.
When we make a decision, we're stepping into the future.
Okay.
And surrender is about trusting the present moment.
So like that, it's like they all work together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To create a more empowered, fulfilling life.
So it's not about giving up. It's about letting go of the need to control.
Yes. It's about trusting that the universe has your back.
I can dig that. But how do we cultivate that trust?
It's a practice. The source material suggests starting small.
Okay.
Maybe by surrendering to something simple, like the weather.
Oh, like when it rains and you just decide to embrace it?
Exactly. Instead of getting frustrated, you just go with it.
I like that.
Or if you're stuck in traffic,
Yeah.
use that time to listen to a podcast or something.
Instead of getting all stressed out.
Exactly.
Okay, baby steps to surrender, I can do that.
But what about the big challenges?
Right? The stuff that really throws you off course?
The source material suggests that surrender can be really powerful in those moments too.
Really?
But how?
Because when you're struggling,
Yeah.
sometimes the most empowering thing is to acknowledge
What?
that you don't have all the answers.
To surrender to the situation and trust that something bigger than yourself is at work.
So it's about acceptance, even when it's hard.
Exactly. It doesn't mean giving up on your goals or dreams,
Okay.
but it means letting go of the struggle and allowing yourself to be guided.
By something bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, okay, universe, I've done what I can. Now I'm trusting you to show me the way.
I love that. It's about surrendering to the flow, even when you don't know where it's going.
Exactly. And that brings us to the last piece of the puzzle.
Okay, what's that?
The final key to unlocking your inner badass.
Hit me with it.
It's about tapping into the power of the present moment.
The present moment, we keep coming back to that
We do, and there's a reason for that.
because it's where the magic happens.
Exactly. The source material presents a lot of tools for getting present,
Okay.
and one of the most powerful and accessible is meditation.
Meditation again. Okay.
I know we talked about it before,
Yeah.
but it's worth emphasizing because
Yeah.
it's a game changer.
So how does meditation help us unlock our inner badass?
Well, the author explains that when we meditate,
Yeah.
we're actually connecting to what they call source energy.
Source energy. Interesting.
It's like tapping into this unlimited well of wisdom and power.
Wow. Okay. I'm intrigued.
And by quieting the mind, right, through meditation,
Uh-huh.
we can start to hear the whispers of our intuition, of our soul.
So it's like we're tuning out the noise of the world.
Yes, and tuning into our inner guidance system.
I like that. It's like finding that signal amidst all this.
Exactly. And the source material breaks down meditation
Yeah.
into these really clear, simple steps.
That's good because, like I said, some of those poses can be a bit much.
They can be intimidating, but the author emphasizes that it's not about the
got it.
posture or the chanting.
Yeah.
It's about finding a comfortable position, focusing on your breath,
Right.
and gently acknowledging any thoughts that come up without judgment.
So it's not about forcing your mind to be blank.
Not at all. It's about becoming an observer of your thoughts, creating space between you and that constant mental chatter.
So you can choose which thoughts to engage with.
Exactly. And which ones to just let go.
It's like decluttering your mental closet.
Exactly. Keeping the good stuff, tossing out what you don't need.
I love that analogy.
And the more you practice, the better you become.
At being present.
Yes. Not just during meditation, but throughout your day.
So it's like building that mental muscle.
For calmness and clarity.
I like that.
Now, speaking of powerful mental tools,
Okay.
the source material also gets into this fascinating world of visualization and manifestation.
Okay, we talked about this a little bit before.
We did, but it's worth revisiting because
because
it's such a powerful technique
for what?
for creating the life you desire.
Okay, tell me more.
So the book explains that our thoughts actually have energy.
Okay.
And when we focus our attention on what we want, we can actually start to attract those things into our reality.
Wait, so you're saying that just by thinking about something, we can make it happen?
Well, it's not magic, but it's about consciously directing our energy towards our goals. The source material really emphasizes feeling the emotions associated with those desires as if they've already happened.
So it's like creating a mental movie
Exactly.
of your ideal life.
Yeah.
And then inviting the universe to help you make it real.
That's a great way to put it. And the source even suggests creating a vision board
Oh yeah, I've heard of them.
with images and affirmations that represent your goals,
Right.
and then spend time each day visualizing yourself living in that reality.
So it's not just daydreaming, it's intentional daydreaming.
Exactly, daydreaming with a purpose.
I like that. But is it really that simple?
Well, it's important to remember that visualization isn't about trying to control every little detail, you know? It's about setting an intention and trusting the universe to guide you towards your goals in its own way.
So it's like setting the GPS, but allowing for some detours?
Exactly, and some scenic routes along the way.
I love that. So we've got meditation, visualization, and what else?
Well, the source material also talks about the power of gratitude.
Gratitude. Didn't we already talk about that?
We did, but it's worth emphasizing because
Okay, why?
because it's not just about being thankful for what you have.
Okay.
The source material explains that gratitude actually raises our vibration. It makes us more magnetic to the things we want to attract.
I see.
So gratitude is like a superpower.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
But how do you cultivate gratitude, especially when life is throwing those curveballs?
That's where this is good because exercise comes in.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before.
We did. It encourages you to find the silver lining in any situation.
So no matter how tough things get,
Exactly. No matter how difficult it might seem.
you find something to be grateful for.
Exactly. And the source material reminds us that gratitude isn't about ignoring the negative. It's about choosing to focus on the positive.
Shifting our perspective.
Yes. And finding something to appreciate, even in the midst of challenges.
It's like rewiring our brains for happiness and abundance.
By focusing on what's already good in our lives.
I love that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But is there anything else we need to know about unlocking our inner badass?
Well, the source material emphasizes one more crucial ingredient.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's something that can either make or break our journey.
That's that.
It's the power of making clear, unwavering decisions.
Decisions, okay.
The source material actually calls it the almighty decision.
I love that. It sounds so powerful.
It is. And they use the story of Henry Ford and his pursuit of the V8 engine as a perfect example.
Oh, that's a great story.
It is. Ford basically told his engineers to figure it out.
Yeah.
Even though they kept saying it was impossible.
And they did figure it out.
They did. And it was because of Ford's unwavering decision, his absolute commitment to his vision,
So it's not just about making a decision. It's about making it with total conviction.
Exactly. Like, this is happening energy. No more negotiating, no more second guessing.
It's pure commitment?
Exactly. And the source material encourages us to eliminate that whole negotiation process in our minds.
Okay.
Stop second guessing ourselves and just commit to our goals.
Yeah.
As if they are already a done deal.
Okay, so no more waffling, no more what ifs.
Exactly.
Just decide and go for it.
Yes. And the source material also reminds us that making decisions, it's a skill. It's something we can develop with practice.
That's interesting. How do you practice making decisions?
Well, first, become aware of how you currently make decisions.
Okay.
Do you tend to overthink things? Do you rely on your gut feeling?
Right.
And then trust yourself. Even if you make a so-called wrong decision.
You can learn from it.
Exactly. And course correct. No more getting stuck in analysis paralysis.
Just make the decision and trust that it's the right one for you in this moment.
Exactly. And the source material offers a really helpful tip.
Oh, I love a good tip.
For those of us who struggle with indecision.
Oh, yeah, that's me.
Set deadlines. Give yourself a time frame for making a decision and stick to it.
It's like lighting a fire into your own butt.
Exactly.
So we've talked about surrender,
Right.
forgiveness,
Yes.
making decisions. They all seem so different. How do they fit together?
Think about it this way.
Okay.
When we forgive, we're letting go of the past.
Okay.
When we make a decision, we're stepping into the future.
Right.
And surrender is about trusting the present moment.
It's like they all work together to create this more empowered life.
Exactly. They help us move beyond the limitations of the past, step into our power in the present,
Yeah.
and create a future that aligns with our truest selves.
I love that. So it's not just about being a badass in the traditional sense.
Right. It's not about being aggressive or domineering.
Yeah, okay.
It's about owning your power, making conscious choices, and trusting the journey even when things get messy.
It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience.
Exactly.
The good, the bad, the beautiful, and the messy.
And knowing that even in the midst of the mess,
Yeah.
there's this incredible power within you waiting to be unleashed.
I love that. It's about recognizing that we are all inherently badass.
Absolutely.
And that it's not about becoming someone we're not,
Right.
but about embracing who we truly are.
At our core.
And then letting that badassery shine through.
That's the key. And so for our listeners who are on this journey
Yeah.
of unlocking their own inner badass,
What's the one piece of advice you would leave them with?
remember this. You have the power to create the life you desire.
I like that.
It starts with awareness,
Okay.
understanding those forces at play within you, and then making conscious choices that align with your truest self.
It's about owning your power.
Exactly. Embracing your strengths, acknowledging your challenges, and taking action even when it feels scary.
Because action is the antidote to fear.
It is. It's about trusting yourself, trusting the universe.
And knowing that you are capable of anything.
Anything you set your mind to.
That's a beautiful message to end on. So for all of you badass listeners out there,
Yeah.
what's one small step you can take today to unlock your full potential
Even the smallest action can create a ripple effect.
that can transform your life?
Exactly.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive. Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We left off talking about surrender and how it can actually be a powerful tool.
Right. Not giving up, but letting go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm still wrapping my head around how it works in real life.
Okay, well, think of it this way. When we forgive, we're letting go of the past.
Okay, I see that.
And when we make a decision, we're stepping into the future.
Right. But how does surrender fit in?
Surrender is all about trusting the present moment.
So it's like a bridge between the past and the future.
Yes. And it's about recognizing that we don't always have to force things to happen.
Sometimes it's better to just let things unfold.
Exactly. That's the essence of surrender.
Okay, I can see how that might be empowering. But how do you actually do it?
The source material suggests starting small, like surrendering to the weather.
Okay, so instead of getting annoyed when it rains,
You just embrace it.
I could try that.
Or if you're stuck in traffic, use that time to listen to music or a podcast.
Instead of getting all stressed out.
Exactly. It was about shifting your perspective, finding the good in the situation.
But what about those really big challenges? The stuff that really knocks you down?
Surrender can be especially powerful in those moments.
Really? Why is that?
Because sometimes, when we're struggling, the most empowering thing we can do is acknowledge that we don't have all the answers.
And surrender to what is?
Yes. and trust that something bigger than ourselves is at work.
So it's about having faith, even when things are tough.
Exactly. It doesn't mean giving up on your dreams, but it does mean letting go of the struggle.
And trusting the process.
Exactly. It's like saying, okay, universe, I've done my part. Now I'm trusting you to guide me.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about surrendering to the flow of life, even when we don't know where it's taking us.
Exactly. And that brings us to another key concept from the source material.
Okay, what's that?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Why would we talk about that in a discussion about unleashing our inner badass?
Because the source material actually presents forgiveness as a powerful act of self-empowerment.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting.
I know it might seem counterintuitive, but think about it.
Okay.
Holding on to anger and resentment,
Yeah.
it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful image.
It keeps us trapped in negativity and prevents us from moving forward.
So forgiveness is really about us then.
Exactly. It's about freeing ourselves from the burden of those negative emotions.
That makes sense, but forgiving someone who's really hurt us, it can feel impossible.
Absolutely. It's not easy, but the source material offers some insightful techniques.
Like what?
One that really resonated with me is the idea of shifting your perspective.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Instead of seeing the person who hurt you as a villain, try to see them as a human being who is also struggling in their own way.
So it's about cultivating compassion, even for those who've wronged us.
Yes, it's about recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes.
That's a tough one, but I can see how it could be incredibly liberating.
It is. And remember, forgiveness is a journey. It takes time.
It's not about forgetting or condoning what happened.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging the pain, allowing yourself to feel it, and then choosing to release it.
So you can move on with your life.
Yes. It's about creating space for healing and growth.
That's beautiful. So we've talked about forgiveness, we've talked about surrender, and earlier we talked about the importance of making clear decisions.
Right, those almighty decisions.
I love that term. It really captures the energy of what we're talking about.
It does, and the source material reminds us that making decisions is a skill, one that we can develop with practice.
So it's not just something you're either good at or bad at.
Not at all. It's like a muscle you can strengthen over time.
And how do we do that?
It starts with becoming aware of how we currently make decisions. Do we overthink things? Do we go with our gut?
That's a good question to ask yourself.
And then it's about trusting ourselves, knowing that even if we make a so-called wrong decision, we can always learn from it.
And course correct.
Exactly. No more getting stuck in analysis paralysis.
Just make the decision and trust that it's the right one for you in that moment.
Exactly. And the source material offers a great tip for those of us who struggle with indecision. Set deadlines.
Oh, that's a good one.
Give yourself a time frame for making the decision and stick to it.
It's like lighting a fire under your own butt.
Haha, exactly. It's about taking action and moving forward.
So we've talked about forgiveness, surrender, making decisions, and throughout this whole deep dive, we've kept coming back to this idea of the present moment.
It's the common thread that ties everything together.
Why is that?
Because the present moment is where our power lies.
It's where we can access our full potential.
Exactly. And the source material offers a whole toolbox of techniques for tapping into that power.
Like meditation and visualization.
Yes. And gratitude, self-love, all of these practices help us become more present.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts, it's about shifting our entire way of being.
Exactly. It's about waking up from the big snooze and stepping into our power.
I love that. So for our listeners who are ready to embark on this journey of unlocking their inner badass, what's the one key takeaway they should remember?
You have the power to create the life you desire. It starts with awareness, with understanding the forces at play within you, and then making conscious choices that align with your truest, most authentic self.
That's a beautiful message to end on. So for all you badass listeners out there, what's one small step you can take today to start unlocking your full potential? Remember, even the smallest action can create a ripple effect that transforms your life. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.